Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we're going to focus on some ByTerry products and create a full face, but we're going to focus on this beautiful Brightening CC palette here called number 2 Beach Bomb. But before we go any further, let's take a second to grab our iced coffee or a hot coffee. Let's take a sip and let's get started. So as many of you know, I'm a makeup artist and also esthetician, and I now have an online beauty consulting service, which is where you get to talk to me one-on-one and pick my brain about any beauty concerns that you might have. So if you'd like to make an appointment, click the link in the description box down below. All right, so I have several items here. I have the new concealer, I have the new palette, I have the powder, I have other products here. So we're just gonna go ahead, do a full face, and it's going to be a mostly full face. I would say 80% ByTerry with a couple exceptions here and there. Now, I do have a couple of these ombre black star shadows here. However, I did see online that you can in fact use this palette all over your face, including your eyes. So I think I'm going to skip these today and just use this. But before I can properly dive into this beautiful complexion palette, I'm going to have to do something for my actual complexion. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a foundation from ByTerry, but I do have the new Hyaluronic Acid Concealer and one of their Hydra-Primers here. So I'm going to cocktail something for my complexion. So this Hyaluronic Acid Primer says it's going to give me a luminous matte complexion. It's supposed to be very hydrating as well. It's also supposed to help my skin look more smooth, imperfections blurred, mattified a little bit. It's also supposed to fill in some fine lines and wrinkles, and it's supposed to help my makeup last longer. So I'm very impressed here. I want to see what this looks like. So it's a white texture, and I think it's going to blend out like transparent without any color whatsoever. I'm impressed that it's supposed to be hydrating, but also mattifying at the same time. I find that oftentimes hydrating primers make you look very luminous and dewy. And now what I'm going to do is use one of the Hyaluronic Acid concealers, and this is the shade Medium Fair. So I think this is the middle shade. There's only 6 shades available in this range here, which is quite limited. But I think Medium Fair will be my actual skin tone. So I'm just going to cover some blemishes. Now I know I look like a very strange leopard, and I know that this is actually a concealer, but it does say correction on it. So let's go ahead and see how this works for correcting blemishes. The concealer feels very fluid and very runny. And I'm using a rougher brush here. This is the brush 17. This is just really good for stippling in concealer or foundation to cover. Okay, so my complexion looks a little bit more evened out. I do see this soft, luminous finish brought by the primer. I'm really intrigued. The texture is quite something. I thought it would be just like a runny, fluid, like gel-like texture, but it's a bit thicker. It reminds me almost of those silicone primers we used to use back in the days. That's what the texture reminds me of, but it feels really nice and soft, and the concealer does work to cover up a little bit of imperfections too. All right, let's go ahead and read the claims for this concealer as an actual concealer, because that's what I'm interested to see. So this is supposed to be a new skincare infused concealer. It's supposed to have hyaluronic acid and horse chestnut seed extract that's supposed to lock in moisture and make the under eye look smooth. It's supposed to be buildable coverage, and it's supposed to blur dark circles, wrinkles, fine lines, and imperfections. Now, when you buy the actual concealer, it comes with an applicator wand, so you can apply it directly. So for today, I'm going to use a finger and then blend. Now I'm going to use the shade 200 and Natural. I think this will be my concealer color. So as I said before, this is very fluid and runny. It's very lightweight in texture, but it's supposed to be buildable as well. So hopefully that's true. I'm just going to add a bit of concealer here on the inner part of the eye and outside here. And I'm going to let this sit for a minute on my face. This will just help the concealer set and cover a bit more. Okay, the concealer has set a little bit. Let's go ahead and blend. So I think that this is the right shade for me, 200. It's a shame that the shade range isn't a little bit bigger to be inclusive, but also to have, you know, like different tones, like something more peachy or, you know, things like that. So I do think that this concealer offers a nice coverage, but I don't think it covers as well as my beloved Clé de Peau concealer. This texture is very fluid and very runny, which means that it is buildable, but also it's more sheer than I'm used to. I do think that it's a very comfortable, easy application, and right off the bat, it doesn't look or feel drying. It just looks very natural. I will make sure to include a wear test and also leave any notes or anything that I like remark that's atypical in the comments down below. But I just think that this is much more sheer than I'm used to. That being said, if you like a more fluid, runny, more lightweight concealer, this might be for you. And of course, initially there is absolutely no creasing whatsoever. It applies really nicely. Now let's go ahead and set this makeup here with this world famous hyaluronic acid Hydra Care setting powder. I have the shade 0, which is colorless. So this is supposed to be infused with skincare benefits of hyaluronic acid. It's supposed to be multi-purpose. It's supposed to create a perfect makeup canvas. It's a setting powder that's supposed to instantly blur imperfections, but it's also supposed to maintain a moisture level. So I'm quite intrigued by this one. So I'm going to go ahead and just knock some of the product into the cap here. And then using a wet sponge, I'm just going to pass this around where I normally lose a bit of makeup around my mouth and my nose. And I may as well just pass it everywhere that I put a bit of coverage earlier, just for review sake. So this color is 100% translucent. I'm not seeing any color payoff. There's like floating powder particles all over the place here. And it does give you a pretty instant, soft, mattifying blur. You know, I think this is the most matte that my complexion has looked in a long time. I usually go for like luminous, dewy, things like that. But this is like a nice soft matte. I don't feel dry whatsoever. Initially, this isn't picking up anything. I have this wonderful breakout here, and I don't see it picking up on texture or fine lines or anything like that. Let me just put a little bit here under the eyes. It's looking nice. Now let's go into this beautiful pièce de résistance. This is the Brightening CC Palette number 2 Beach Bomb. This has a lovely floral scent. It's a little bit intense, so if you don't like floral or perfumed makeup products, this might not be for you. So I'm on the website right now reading the description because I wasn't exactly certain how to use all of these colors. Now, this beautiful palette here is limited edition, and it says that the 4 versatile colors are supposed to minimize imperfections and highlight your skin's natural glow. So the first color here, this one, number 1, is the Illuminating highlighting shade. It's supposed to give you a nude glow. Now, number 2, this one here, this sort of warm toned color, is a warm summer shade to give you a glow of a blush or an eyeshadow. Number 3, this vivid cool toned pink, is a vivid pink blush with a rosy glow to liven the cheeks for a freshly pinched hue. And then the last shade here, the bottom one, this is our bronzer. This is a warm, glowy bronzer to provide definition and give you like a beautiful bronzed finish. Now, these all seem to have a lovely, soft satin finish. I wasn't sure if they would be sparkly or matte, but it seems to be a really lovely texture. So what I'm going to do is, using a Refer brush number 15, I'm going into the peachy blush slash eyeshadow, and I'm just going to sweep this on the lid here, and it's actually quite pigmented as a eyeshadow, just to give a little bit of color here. I think this color matches my shirt a little bit, which was not intended, but a happy surprise. And then I'm just taking my finger and taking that same peachy color just to intensify it a little bit on the lid. And then using my Refer brush 27, which is like a big fluffy brush, I'm going into the bronzer shade, and this will be my crease color. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw on a little bit of mascara just to complete the look. The point of this eye look isn't necessarily to have like a very elaborate eyeshadow look. It's just to marry the colors together. So I'm going to apply these on my face now. And when you use similar or the same colors on your eyes as you do on your face, it just sort of like brings the look together. So I'm going into the bronzer first. I'm using my Refer brush number 5, and something that I've noticed from these shadows here is that you get a lot of product when you just dip your brush into here. It's a nice texture, like it's not soft or anything, but just by placing your brush in the color here, you do get a lot of payoff, so just be careful. Now I'm just going to, wow, see, like I got so much color here, and I wasn't even intending on doing that. Now I'm just going to mix the blushes too. I'm going into a separate brush. This is the Refer 18. I'm going to mix the warm and peach, but I'm going to go very lightly because these just are so intense, and I'm just trying to, you know, have a nice look here. So this peachy blush definitely has a nice luminous finish. I think you could definitely skip highlighter if you wanted to, just depending on your taste. And then just going in lightly into the pink one here. And then the last touch, the highlighter. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that this will also be quite opaque, and it is. So just be mindful when you're dipping into this palette here. All right, so I've used all 4 powders in this palette here, and I have to say that this is my favorite product that I've used in today's video. I just think that these colors wear so nicely together. There's a really beautiful mix of warm and cool, highlight, bronze. It's kind of just like an all-in-one palette for summer. I think it's really pretty, and I'm really impressed with the intensity of the shadows. I'm not sure why. I was worried maybe they wouldn't be opaque or there wouldn't be enough color payoff, but for me, for my skin tone, I think this is really lovely. And I like that you kind of have everything you need: bronzer, blush, highlighter, and you have 2 blushes. You can mix them, wear just one. It's really nice. Oh no, I've just like discovered this new category of makeup because I know that ByTerry makes these CC palettes every now and then, so I may have discovered a new makeup item that I love. As I said, this is by far my favorite product that I've used today. I didn't use anything that I don't like. I just think that this is so nice. I love it. It just makes me think like, oh, this would be perfect to pack for a beach vacation. Let's pretend we're all going to Barbados. This would be perfect to pack for us. And the other products that I've used, the concealer, I've noticed a tiny bit of creasing just in the hour that I've been here doing my makeup and talking, but I'll be sure to give you an update and post later if there's any more excessive creasing. The texture of the powder and the primer and the concealer that I put on my face earlier, it's just much more matte than I'm used to. I'm used to a more luminous glow or a little bit more dewy, but I think the combination of adding the primer and then the powder over top just is more matte than I'm used to. I'm just not used to seeing myself in this skin. That being said, it doesn't feel dry, it doesn't look dry, it's not cakey, it's not like settling into anywhere. but I just don't think that I would use that combination of primer and powder every day. I think I would just go in with a bit of the setting powder on top and I would just skip the primer. I'm not really a primer girl anyway, but I did want to use it today for review sake. So overall, I mean, you guys know, I think this palette is amazing. It's fantastic, so blendable, so easy to use. I know it's a little bit confusing at first because you're like, 4 colors, what do I use? You don't really technically have to use all 4 if you don't want to. I mean, you don't have to do blush, highlighter, bronzer. You can do whatever you want. These are the steps that I used, so feel free to use the steps that I did to apply this palette here, but kind of make it your own. And I do like using this as an eyeshadow. You know, it's not like a very elaborate eyeshadow look. It's just to add a little bit of color, and I think I somehow matched my shirt quite nicely. Alright guys, this is it for today's video. I have made a beautiful discovery with this ByTerry CC palette here. Oh my goodness, I see myself picking up more of these palettes, and let me know in the comments what other makeup items I should try out from ByTerry. Some of you have mentioned their eyeshadow palettes, but let me know, are their foundations good? Sound off in the comments below. If you liked today's video, if you like me, make sure you're subscribed to my channel and also hit that post notification bell so you can be notified whenever I post a new video. Okay guys, I think this is it for today's video. Thank you all so much for stopping by. Hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.